You were in one company for 18 years, right? How and why do you stay for so long in one company?
I think loyalty is one of the main points. Your years of service kind of prove the loyalty as well, that you are really, in one with the company. I'm the kind of person who likes to take on new challenges and do things that no one is willing to do. So whenever there's certain opportunities that arise, I will try to, volunteer myself to do it.
You're able to scale from 20 to 500 employees. How does it feel like building a 20 people team to 200 people in a department?
When you are in 50, the way you manage the team to 100 is a whole different ballgame. There are some people who are struggling even as a junior. Some even went depressed, crying because they just can't handle the stress. How to gather the people to stand by you and you can rally the team. I think it all comes down to empathy, sincerity. Games and animation industry was going quite well, but that pandemic really shot us up.
Why do you decide to quit?
I knew this was coming.
So here we are, Jin.
Yeah, here we are.
This is the very first episode. Everyone, I'm here now with Jin. So we both are co-hosts of TEJ. And I think in the first episode, we are able to understand each other better.
For sure.
Since this is the first episode and you will be interviewing me and I will be interviewing you.
Yeah.
So I think this is a chance where we able to maybe dig into our past, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think also it's we get to set the bar low first because there's going to be a lot of amazing guests coming onto the show, yes. Entrepreneurs, business owners.
I agree.
Right. So,
I agree.
And then we have us here.
Yeah. So maybe would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, like who you are and what do you do in the past?
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having me on this episode. I'm honored. So I'm Gene. Basically, I'm your co-host. And previously, I'm from Lemon Sky, one of the biggest animation and game studio in Malaysia. Yeah, so I've been there for around 18 years. And now I've moved on to be doing something else, which maybe we can talk a bit more in this podcast or something. Yeah, sure. That's me basically.
Okay. So my first question, Jin. Can you share how you come into the games and animation industry?
It's been quite a long journey actually. So just going back a bit to my past before I actually came into the work, before I came into the games and animation industry. So back in my high school, I'm quite bad with studies. I basically failed all my subjects, and I'm quite a rascal as well at school. So I basically dislike studying. And
which class are you?
I'm at the art stream actually, art class.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, although it's art, but nothing much to do with art actually, as you know, right?
Understand.
And I was pretty good with drawing actually. So I love reading manga, love reading anime, your Slam Dunks, your GTO, Onizuka, your Dragon Balls and stuff. So every day I've been drawing on my table, and I'm also drawing on my textbook and everything. So it's all filled with all my drawings. So basically I'm like switching table to table every time when it's full. Right? It's like a piece of artwork. And once I graduated from Form 5, I'm pretty lost actually. I'm not sure what to do. And my parents was pretty supportive. They didn't, not like typical Asian parents where they force you to be doctors and lawyers. They actually let me choose what I actually want to do, despite I don't know actually what I want to do. So they did some research and we found the One Academy, which has something related to art, and they have this course called digital animation, which they teach how to produce games, animation, like how to do 3D works basically. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna be encountering in the course, so I just went on with it and started my foundation and 3 years in the college. I love it actually. We learn about animation, we learn about how to model 3D assets in the 3D world, things like you see in Pixar's movie, Disney movie, like Toy Stories and stuff, right? So we're basically doing those kind of stuff. And 3 years down the road, graduated and jumped into my first job, which is called Igloo Digital Arts back then, which is now called Lemon Sky, one of the biggest game studio in Malaysia. So back then we were called Igloo Digital Arts. So I remember my ex-boss, who is a co-founder of the studio, approached me after my graduation and got me into interview with him on the studio. Went there. Basically, I have no idea what to expect because back then I actually wanted to work in commercial because like 10 over years ago, commercial was using a lot of like CG, animated stuff, looking pretty cool, right? So I thought I wanted to do commercial, but commercial over time and everything is pretty crazy. The work there is pretty crazy.
So I have to stop you. Where your the Lemon Sky co-founder, where does he find you at? Like school or how do you guys meet?
The school, basically.
Oh, I see.
After I did my final presentation, he just approached me. I'm like, who is this guy, basically? And he's actually the founder of this company, which I have no idea, never heard of. Yeah. So I went there, interview, and he told me that they're doing games, actually. So instead of commercial, I never heard about the games. So then he pitched to me about they're working on this game called Afro Samurai, which is a pretty well-known anime back then. I was actually watching it. If you heard,
me too.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, it's a black African samurai in like a Japanese setting, right? So hip hop mixed with samurai. Just imagine that. So pretty cool. The artwork, everything is pretty cool. So I was watching that, and actually working on a game for that anime.
I see.
Yeah, for Bandai Namco back then. So I thought, wow, I never thought Malaysian studio was actually doing international games. I always thought maybe we're doing some education kind of games, which is, to be honest, pretty lame, right? So once I learned that, I was excited. So I passed the art test, which normally a studio will give you. So I went in there as a junior 3D modeler.
I see. So as you meant, if I'm here correctly, you were in one company for 18 years, right?
Yeah.
So how and why do you stay for so long in one company?
Yeah, it's a good question. Everybody asks the same as well. I think it's pretty rare for someone at our age as millennials to stay in a company for so long. It's pretty common for, our parents' generation or someone older to stay like 20 over years in the company. Yeah, and a lot of my friends, they jump company from one to another. I think it's mostly from my parents' upbringing. My dad is a businessman, so he has that mindset of you don't get the value in this company, you should leave. Right. But my mom is a bit different. She has a history of working a long time in a company and making her way up through the ranks as well. Eventually to a manager and a head of department. So she advised me to always if you like the company, you find that the company has value, and you feel that there's a future there, then you should stay, be loyal, do your best. I think loyalty is one of the main points. You need to really stay as long as you can to prove your loyalty. Of course, you need to perform, but I think your years of service kind of prove the loyalty as well, that you are really, in one with the company. Like you treat the company, that you have ownership in the company as well. So that's the kind of mindset that she actually brought on me, and I apply that. And I won't lie, of course, there are times that I want to leave the company as well. There are times where I burn out, I was frustrated, because maybe salary wasn't there and this and that. But eventually we sort it out and I continue to stay on till now.
I see. Yeah. Did they treat you well?
I think so. I think I wouldn't be where I am without this whole journey. And I have to say the people that I work with, they are amazing, very enthusiastic, warm, friendly. I can't ask for more in terms of my colleagues, my bosses and all, because it's been a very fun journey, basically.
I see. I think they will be very happy to have you actually in the company for staying for 18 years.
I hope so.
So, since you are 18 years in the company, right? Can you tell us more how do you work way up from junior to where you were before you left?
Yeah, it's a pretty long story, but I'll try to break it down. So I came in as a junior 3D modeler, working on all the games, and we basically went through a lot of different periods. Maybe I just talk a bit about my own experience first. I'm the kind of person who likes to take on new challenges, new roles, and do things that no one is willing to do, basically. So I always find bits and pieces and hooks and crannies in the company of what is somebody not actually doing. Because everybody can do the same thing, then nothing special about you. So I was trying to find, is there anything that I can do to improve in the team or as myself? So whenever there's certain opportunities that arise, I will try to, volunteer myself to do it. So as a junior, of course, you're learning and then you're getting experience. You have to follow under a senior and learn as much as you can. But every time I feel that I've learned something and there's opportunity to like maybe lead a team, for example, or handle a very complicated task that everybody's like, please don't select me, I don't want to handle this, right? I'll tend to volunteer myself to do it because I feel that it's a good opportunity for me to shine, to stand out from the crowd, right? And I've been continuously doing that consistently. And from there, I kind of like build up the reputation with my leads, my seniors, and they can see that I can perform, I can do good work. And from there, it's very natural progression that when there's any more challenging tasks or when there's a team that needs a lead,
they will approach you.
Yeah, they will approach me. Yeah, so from there, I kind of build up. And then my juniors, when I was junior, I start going up. Then there's new juniors coming in. Then I start guiding them as well. Because I think it's all about teamwork. It's only so much you can do alone. So whatever you learn, you need to pass it down to your team as well. So I start to guide them. And from there, also build a good reputation with the juniors. And they start to look up to me as well. Yeah, and there's a period where, and this is an interesting period where there's a time the company wasn't doing so well. I think it was a transition from Igloo Digital Arts, the first company name, before we rebrand to Lemon Sky.
I see.
So there was like some rearrangement with the founders, some company rearrangement, management arrangement, and also the company wasn't doing so well. So there was like years we didn't have increment, and I worked many years before I actually have a bonus. Bonus is quite a big thing in Malaysia, right? And I worked like 5 to 6 years before I actually got my first bonus. So we have been like getting some incentive, very little raise because the company was new and they were trying to build up, right? So of course, being a typical employee, people start to leave the company because they feel that they're not getting what they want, and there's a lot of seniors left as well. And that left a few of us, and we were thinking like, should we stay on or should we continue? Right, so that's where we had discussion with the team, like, okay, should we stick together? And also discussion with the founders, the bosses, like, hey, what's next? Right? So if not, there's no point of us staying here. So me, that time I wasn't a lead yet. I was still gaining experience, but my lead are leaving one by one, really.
I see.
Yeah. So we had decided to stay back because the founders did say that stick with us. And this is my vision, this is our vision. And if we work together, we can enjoy the ride together, basically. So if the company grows, you guys are the one that help, build up the company together. So we decided, okay, we will stay back, continue on, take up the role of the lead. And it was chaos because back then a lot of juniors and then not much of leads. So basically I had to take up the role with a few more people. So that's where I start to handle the team more, and more projects started to come in, luckily. Our bosses, they really went on to overseas to pitch for jobs, like to Japan, to US, just knock on people's door to get jobs. And once they bring in the job, then we have to basically do what you call an art test, like a pitch for that client itself. So you're fighting against all of the other studios just to win that job. So back then it was very high pressure because we don't have much job. So any job that came in, we were fighting for it. It's like a win or die situation. So if we lose, probably we won't survive, or might be in a deeper financial situation. So we have to like put in 150%, 200% every single art test. Working late into the night, overnight. Just to make sure that we are hitting the quality and basically giving more than what the client expects to beat everybody. And fortunately, we won a few projects, Japanese projects, some US projects, and then we have to lead the new team to work on this project, like international client. So it was challenging because I have to play all the roles, like from lead artist, suddenly become a lead artist, a project manager, because we don't have project manager back then. You have to be like the IT person, you have to be the coordinator, everything basically you have to hands-on. So it was pretty tough period. You can't really delegate much because everybody is still new. So you have to go through that period, few years, and once people start to mature, you deliver a few projects, you gain experience as a leader, and then people start coming up. And that's where you can start to relax a little because you can start delegating the work to the people. And then that's where Lemon Sky starts getting better and better as the team becomes more solid.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. But interesting, Jin, you mentioned about art tests.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that? Like, usually how? Because I think the audience would like to understand, like, it's interesting because some like studios, they will give you an art test before you really official work on their project.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through that, like how an art test is given from the client to your studio?
Yeah, I think art tests, it happens in a lot of other industry. So for those people who are watching who is not in the animation game industry, it's pretty similar, like you are pitching for a project, right? So you're creating like a pitch deck or like a proof of concept to sell to that company or your clients before they get on board with you. So there will be a lot of other vendors pitching on the same project, like in terms of the price, what you can do, the service that you're providing, the quality of work, right? So it's basically the same thing. So in games and animation, basically you are either working on animation, the modeling, which is building the assets like the characters, the building the cars that you see in the game environment or the animation environment, or maybe FX like fire, water, those kind of stuff. So depending on which part you're working on, they will give you an art test and they will test you. They give you a brief like, okay, I want to see this. Like example for animation, they give you a brief and I want to see this character slashing the monster. And after that, what he's going to be jumping on the back and, those kind of brief, complex, which is going to challenge your artist to see what you can produce, right? So with that brief, of course, you have to ask questions with the client, this and that, before you go into the test. So they will test you on communication as well to make sure that you are checking the brief, asking questions, understanding everything before you start, right? So they test you on the professionalism as well. And then once you got that, your team will start animating, and then the lead will oversee to make sure that your team is hitting the quality before we submit to the client. And before we submit to the final work, of course, we need to make sure that it's the best of the best, that we have confidence that this thing is gonna really blow the clients away. And then finally we submit, and then we just wait. And then the client will receive your tests, and they will consolidate every vendor's tests, and then they will
Evaluate.
Evaluate and see which is the best in terms of the work, communication, even the feeling of working together. Like, do they have that feeling? That kind of what you call it. I can't think of the word now, but basically they want to have that right feeling.
The
vibe, yeah. So once they are happy with that, they will come back to you and say, "Oh, you guys passed the test, and this is the amount of work that we are going to award to you." Basically.
I see. Yeah, interesting. I think this is a very interesting fact. I mean, from not in the animation industry or games industry, they will know. If they would like to join, probably they will experience this as well.
Yeah, basically, if new people who join will get the same thing as well. Like candidates come in, apply, they interview, and not just from the interview, they need to do an art test as well most of the time.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as my understanding, Lemon Sky is famous on like having a lot of employee in the company and able to scale from 20 to 500 employees, I think in last year, 2024. And in your department that we talk about, and you from scaling from 20 people to 200 people. How does it feel like building a 20 people team to 200 people in a department, and everyone is under your supervision? This episode of the Entrepreneur Journal is brought to you by Bugworks. If you are looking for top-notch creative solutions, whether it's high-quality graphic production, branding, motion graphics, Bugworks is the team you want on your side. They have worked with amazing brands. If you need creative firepower, hit them up. Check them out in the description below, and thanks to Bugworks for supporting the Entrepreneur Journal. Now, back to the conversation.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy actually. Never really thought about the whole journey because everything went through so fast. Lemon Sky, at a point, we had hit 500 plus people actually, because we have studios in Penang as well as like a subsidiary company in Thailand as well, which I think is no longer, they are independent now. So we started as 20 people and then went to 50, went to 100, 200, 300, 500. We actually grow a lot during the pandemic. It's pandemic time when we were all in lockdown. The company was booming, and and that was a pretty insane time to grow actually. So we actually grow like 100, 200 people back then.
Interesting.
Yeah, but just going back a bit, like when we hit 100 people, when you are in 50 the way you manage the team to 100 is very different, whole different ball game. 50 you can still gung ho a bit, do things a bit messy, like everything you just power your way through, very physical. But when you hit 100 and above, you need to have proper team structure. You need to have system in place. You need to improve the company's infrastructure, this and that. Yeah, so once we always had the mindset as let it come first, we'll figure out later, right? Which back then I hated because as a boss, you force your employees to do so, right? We are the one that like, how the hell am I going to do this? I'm still lacking of 50 people and you want to get this job in, we don't have this, we don't have that. But as bosses, founders, they said, we'll figure it out. Well, I mean, we will figure it out, not them. So just a joke. Yeah, so true enough, we figured it out. We went through all the hardship to bang our head on the wall, to make mistake. Sometimes we get scolding by client or complaints by client as well, and then we need to fix it. Yeah, so from there, we push the people up. There are some people who are struggling even as a junior, and a few years later, they actually become a lead themselves. Wow. Some, of course, they gave up, but some they really power through, and some even like went depressed, crying because they just can't handle the stress, God. Yeah, and we have to guide them through, patiently. And thankfully, some become lead, So as years goes by, the more we go through with new projects, the more people start to mature and become leads themselves. So that's where the team starting to form, the structure starting to form. Like there's junior, there's intermediate, there's senior, there's lead, there's supervisor, there's project manager. And when the company got better, financially, we could hire more talented people as well, more experienced people, even from overseas. So we actually have people from all around the world, from Singaporean to China to Indonesia to Philippines to Italy, US even, Japan even, Korea even. So it's quite a good mixed culture of people, Iran. So the team starting to take place. And then as years goes by, the team become more and more solid. And of course, the infrastructure, we can afford to spend on infrastructure as well, like building better servers, firewalls, because working with international client, big clients, they have a lot of requirements on how you set up the structure of your company, the security and everything, right? Okay. It's very strict. I think it might be one of the strictest, confidentiality-wise, like security-wise. I think games are one of the strictest. Sign tons of NDAs. Firewall, they come and check, they will do their due diligence basically to make sure that you are.
They come to your office to do an audit.
Yeah, audit, or they will do a penetration test, that kind of stuff. So we spend a lot of money on infrastructure throughout the years. And also getting better offices, building better offices. So I think to build this team, it takes a long time and it takes a lot of effort to train the people up, to make sure that they are in the right mindset, they are aligned with the company's vision before actually scale. Because if you just scale by hiring instantly like 100, 200 people, then you don't build that culture. People are not aligned. So it's not really sustainable. So for us, we look for sustainability.
Since you talk about like sustainability and talking about vision and mission, right? Like since you have different colleagues in different country, how do you actually oversee every one of them?
Yeah, I think delegation, and you have like a chain of command, I think. Okay. Yeah, chain of command maybe sounds a bit harsh, but it is like a structure. And everything works like a pyramid basically, although it's people associate with pyramid scheme, right? But it is a pyramid, right? So you have tiers. So the higher the tiers, the more responsibility you have, but you will oversee lesser people. So you need to spread down from like the lead to your seniors to the intermediate artists, and then the intermediate artists to their juniors. Right? So it was a pretty tough transition because I grew up from a junior and I do everything myself. I like to hands-on. Yep. So I was struggling to delegate, because you just have to, you feel that you want to do everything yourself. You trust yourself more, because I sometimes might be a bit of a perfectionist. I like to make sure everything is done my way, and and if I hand it to someone, maybe they won't meet my expectation, and then in the end I have to redo everything again, or I don't want to spend the effort to teach them and stuff. But I said when it comes to 100, 200 people, the ball game changes and you just can't handle everything yourself. And then that's where I start to feel like I was burning out, and I start to feel that I actually need to let go of stuff. And of course, I talked to my bosses and they allow me to, promote people or even hire more talents coming in, to fill in those positions. And I just have to let go of the mindset that I need to delegate. I need to let the people hit the wall, make mistakes. And I just need to let go basically. And although I might not gain the recognition of the hands-on guy anymore, but I need to let go and step out from the limelight a bit, let the people handle it. So I form like my tiers of people. So I have like a few top management people who are directly reporting to me, and then they will actually handle like the rest of the seniors, the lead and everything. Yeah, so that take quite a while to form because even my second tier, my people who I trust the most, they need time to like build up the rapport, build up the skills, build up like what I actually envision for the team and stuff like that. So I still have to hands-on, guide them, but nurture them, and then it comes to a point that if suddenly everything is on autopilot, even I can disappear for 2 months.
Wow.
Basically it won't harm the team. They already know what to do. Right?
Like a dream come true.
Yeah, that's a dream come true actually. Yeah. Yeah, actually my goal was one of my goals at that time was to work to a point there I can go and play golf, it's fine. No, just kidding, I'm not playing golf. But
I see. Oh, yeah. Well, you talk about recognition from your team members, right? So since you have 20 to 200 people, 200 people is a big team.
Yeah.
So I believe there's like different age in your department, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe someone will be younger than you and someone will be older than you. How do you gain that respect, especially for the older people?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I like that question. Definitely, like I said, the whole company comprised of different people from different parts of the world even. So every single person from different country, they have kind of like different working culture, different personality, because the way they work, the way they react to is a bit different from like Malaysian. So like Indonesia, they have their own ways of communication, and Iranian, they have their own styles of working. So it's quite a challenge to adapt to every single one. But I think it all comes down to patience and also sincerity. I deal with people who are older than me, and some do have quite a bit of an ego, quite heavy ego, right? And they were like trying to overpower you because when they first came in, they are already a senior in their own industry. So they come in and they're trying to like, who is this guy, giving me orders and stuff like that. So there is a lot of tough situation like that, which I have to gain their respect. So I have to prove to them that, I know my thing, and I have to show them that some of my decision is right. I'm not the kind of person like to dictate where I set the thing everybody follows. I like to have collaboration and everybody put in idea, and I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. Yeah, but sometimes when I deal with people who are like, they're already stuck up with their own ideas, I'm fine, you try it yourself. I will make sure that they know my point of view. And this time I'm letting you try it because I want to give you a chance. But when it turns out it's wrong, then you know that my decision was right. So I did that a couple of times because when we discussed, they were quite quite stubborn about following their decision. So I think, okay, fine, I'll let you try it. Although I disagree, why, I will list down the reasons why, but this time we'll go with yours and we'll see.
So you always give chance to your colleague.
Yes.
1 time or 2 times to let them to try.
Yeah.
And then after that, after they understand, and if they get it wrong, then you come
I will come in and help, right? And then from there, I think you establish another point is once they mess up or certain things happen, as a lead, you need to be there for them. Instead of pointing that, that's it, you're wrong, but it's okay. I said, no worry, we'll fix it together, and just jump in and come up with a solution. Whether it's I have to face the client to apologize or to find the right people to come in to help, whatever that is, you need to be there. That's why I say sincerity is important, because they need to feel that you're there for them and you're sincerely trying to help them.
So rather than really have to be attentive, patient, good listener, understand, look at their point of view, right? Empathy, exactly. So from there, the relationship starts to change. They start to look at you differently, and it takes years. It doesn't come like few months. Some takes 2 to 3 years just to finally get them to,
okay, you are the lead. I respect you, and let's work together.
Is it all this attitude that you are saying, like empathy, the characteristic? Is it an essential as a leader to be, in the leadership, to have this kind of skills?
For sure, definitely. Yeah. I mean, leadership comprises of so many different skills and mindset. I won't say it's skills, I would say more like a mindset. But I think those few things that I mentioned about like empathy, sincerity, even honesty, if I have narrowed it down, I would think these few are some of the most important leadership skill, which not many people mention actually. Yeah, we talk a lot about like, we need to know how to delegate, you need to be like, how to, you need to be very detailed oriented, you need to have vision, goals and stuff like that. But how to gather the people to stand by you and you can rally the team, I think it all comes down to empathy, sincerity, because people need to respect you first before you can portray your leadership, your goals and vision, right?
I see. Throughout this journey, Jin, what was your biggest challenge in your career?
Are you talking about like project-wise or,
Anything.
anything?
Yeah, that gives you the most challenge that you cannot forget.
I think there are a couple. I would specifically point out two parts. I think one part was when we are building up the company, when all the seniors left, we are building up the company. So everybody was still junior and I was quite the new lead as well. I basically didn't choose to be a lead. I would just fall into place, right? Because, I was already volunteering myself to a lot of things. Right? So that transition was the toughest because you just don't have enough support. You can't even delegate your work, like I said. So you have to take in everything, all the pressure and stress. You have to play you have to wear different shoes and hats. And I have sleepless nights, trying to figure out when is this going to end? Can I even get this done, right? So it was a nightmare.
How many nights that you didn't sleep?
Oh, for years. I think the whole project lasted. I still remember one project, Japanese client, first time we were working together on a Japanese client. And Japanese works very differently. They are very detail oriented, right? So they nitpick on every single thing. And my team was quite junior back then. So everybody was struggling like, wow, they can't believe they can even spot like pixels, right? It was like insane. Yeah, fortunately we still deliver in the end, but that took like 1.5 years or more, that whole project. Yeah, and once we delivered that, then things gotten a bit easier, I would say, because we got a bit more experience. But of course, new challenge come up. But things start to get better and better as the people start growing and you start getting more experience from the past projects. Things become less scary. And then the second most challenging part was during the pandemic. Everyone went into lockdown.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people lost their job in a lot of industry, like hotels, basically the bricks and mortar stores, shops and stuff. Those really suffer a lot.
But the entertainment, games, and animation was booming that time.
Exactly. We are the one that is booming. So the tables was turning that time. We were already booming quite. The games and animation industry was going quite well, but that pandemic really shot us up. Like, because everybody was staying at home, they were playing games, they were watching Netflix. They don't have anything else to do. So that's all they had. So the demand for that entertainment, digital entertainment, was skyrocketing. So we're suffering for a few months because the whole industry wasn't sure what to expect. Everybody is still new to like lockdown, and we were scrambling to move people back home. And just that logistically, just that part of moving people back home and making sure they can continue their work, telling the client everything is good, that part was a nightmare. We were spending countless nights because we have like 2 to 3 days to move everyone back home before the whole MCO thing started, right? So we were like thinking, one MCO one lah, And just 2 days later, announce MCO. And then you have 2 nights to basically pack everything up. So you have to pack 500 people, 300 old people's PCs. We have to figure out how they can connect to the server.
Are they bringing back the PCs or?
Yeah, some bring back the PC.
Wow.
Yeah, we have to like sign form, pack everything, set up the security. Basically just plastering bandages everywhere because there's no proper solution. So we just have to go. And then even the lockdown, when we can't travel, we still need to quietly send some monitors or PC to certain people who wasn't able to.
Yeah.
And then we need to set up communication. I think set up a team of 20 is fine, but 300, can you imagine? It's crazy. And
Every single one. And everyone lives in different places.
Exactly. Some are moving back to their hometowns or more, right?
Wow.
Yeah,
some probably in Penang, in Ipoh, probably in JB.
Exactly. And then everybody connect, the server was like congested, so a lot of issues. But then after we start getting into the flow, things were getting better. And then the market started to boom. Then the projects started coming in. And then there was a lot of requests. And the requests kept coming in. And of course, as business owner, you want to grow the company. It's a good chance. You won't let go of opportunities, right? But we were actually suffering because we just can't keep up with the demand. So there were times that I'm behind on 50, 60 people. And the project is starting in like a few months' time. So I had to hire, there are times where I had to interview 5 to 10 people a day, So I actually hire a lot of people throughout the years, like hundreds of people, interview hundreds of people. And starting to get people in. And then sometimes we do also get freelancers in to help, So that was a nightmare actually. I again have sleepless night and anxiety every single day. Waking up early in the morning, like having anxiety, because there's just so many things that have to be done, and I don't know if I can actually do it or not, because it's not like a task where, okay, today I'm going to do this whole list of work once I'm done. Something that as a top management, you need to think and assist your team and make sure that they are following your instructions, right? Yeah.
So in this situation, based on your experience, if you could turn back the time to that time, what could you do differently?
I think again I'll delegate earlier. I definitely voice out to my bosses that time about this situation, get the right people in, train them earlier, let go of a lot of the things that I was handling, delegate so that I don't stress myself out. I did it a bit too late, and I also didn't voice out because I'm the one who like to keep everything in and try to power through, try to solve it myself. Because I always have this feeling of, if I ask for help, I look weak. So I always didn't want to ask for help, and I try to like figure it out myself.
So you always, probably at the beginning, you would like to try, you would try it yourself first.
Yeah.
See whether you can penetrate through, that you can overcome all this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the second thing is maybe a bit more controversial for if my bosses are listening. I think probably requesting for equity in the company, for ownership in the company. Whether I get it or not is okay, but I think I should have, at least requested for it. Being loyal to a company, and also you're also putting in the effort to grow the company. I think it's the right thing to do, to ask for some ownership of the company, so that you get to enjoy the upside that you are bringing to the company as well. So that is something that I felt that maybe I could have done, and maybe it could have led to a different outcome, and stuff like that. But again, it is what it is. But it's just, yeah.
So Jin, why do you decide to quit a great career and venture into a whole new industry? Why take that risk?
Yeah, I knew this was coming. Yeah, actually, the plan was not to quit as early. My plan was actually to work a couple more years and quit at the peak of my career, because I always have this ambition of doing something of my own, right? To leave a mark on my own. And leaving the company was tough because, like I said, everybody is just amazing. One thing that kept me in the company for so long is the people that work there. They are the most amazing bunch of people. I although I haven't worked in other companies before, but just by talking with people, hearing their feedbacks about their colleagues and stuff, I just feel that I think we are different, and having a company of 500 people, I would say there's actually not much of politics. Of course, they were not perfect. There's still complaints here and there, but we make a lot of changes to fix the whole company culture to a point where I think we're in a very good spot. We're doing something right, and I'm so proud of the team. The enthusiasm, the motivation, the spirit, even the positivity, even young leaders coming up, who I felt is already doing better than me when I was at their age.
Wow.
Right? So I was really proud of that. So that makes living even harder. It's like, how can I live? But of course, there are things that happen throughout the years. A couple of stuff happened, which I won't dig into, and makes me speed up my decision a bit, which put me in the spot where, should I continue or should I just take the risk now? Right. So I finally, ultimately, after a lot of thoughts and planning and thinking, I made the decision to quit and pursue what I want to do, earlier.
How old are you right now?
This year, 39. That is why I feel that if I wait later, maybe I don't have that energy to build something from scratch all over again.
I see.
Yeah.
Then how do you plan for this exit? Like, how do you prepare for it? Since you're 39 years old.
Yeah.
And you're entering 40. This year or next year, 40?
This year. No, next year is 40. This year, 39.
Yeah. How do you prepare for it?
Yeah, I have a crazy goal to retire by 45, actually. They call it the FIRE movement, right? Financially independent, retire early thing. But when I say retire, not like retire and just relax on the beach, but retire in the sense of I quit my 9 to 5 and I finally do something that I'm passionate about and I don't need to worry about money.
I see.
Yeah, that was my initial goal. But of course, couldn't achieve it. But the good thing about this is I started to plan for that almost 10 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, so when I was my late 20s, nearing 30, I started to think about what is the future? How do I see myself 10 or years from now? Am I still going to work? And my biggest fear was not to have a lot of debt and have to work all the way to I'm 60, retire, and then who knows, you get cancer or anything, you can't even enjoy your retirement, right? Of course, touch wood, I hope that doesn't happen, but what if I work all the way there and I have back pain, this pain, that pain, and I cannot enjoy life anymore, right? And then your whole life is just working with someone else, building their empire, and and then you just retire and that's it. So I always have that fear. If someone who is enjoying that, there's nothing wrong with that actually. If you contented with your job, you have a family, you have a house, you're okay with working to retirement, have grandkids and all, that's totally fine as well. But for me, I just think a bit different. It's not exactly the path that I want. And fortunately, my wife is pretty supportive as well. So she also wants flexibility and freedom. So both of us decided to live a more freedom kind of life.
I think that's very important, especially you have a wife.
Yeah.
Now you quit your job.
Yeah.
And
exactly. So I think it's most important to do what you're happy. What you're happy. What makes you happy, basically. So I started to plan for that 10 years ago, and I got into investment. I always think long term, so I got into investment, learning about investment. And in the beginning, I lost a lot of money, thinking that I was a genius. Opened a brokerage account, put in money, buy stocks, meaning a bit, thought I was genius, and then lost everything. And that happened a couple of times. I lost quite a lot of money to learn actually. But those are very important lessons. The more I invest, the more I learn, the more I see money differently. So from there, I start to build up my wealth, whether it's investing in stocks, crypto, and stuff like that. So I start to build up wealth, and throughout the years, I get more and more smart, gather more wisdom in investing, and come to a point where I feel that give it a couple more years, I think I can achieve financial freedom, at least my financial goal, and I can quit and really don't care about money and just do the things that I love. But now it's not there yet. It's maybe halfway there or a quarter of the way there.
Wow, halfway.
Yeah, halfway, a quarter of the way there. So I still have to jump out and take the risk, but at least I have built up a sustainable amount of financial runway that allows me to take this risk for maybe 3, 5, 7 years, depending on how I live my life, spend money. Yeah, so I think that was the important thing. I'm really glad I started early. That's why I keep telling people, my teammates, my friend, like, you need to look at yourself 10 years from now, what you want to be, and then work your way there.
I'll talk about this, then what the future holds you.
There are so many things I want to do, and this podcast is one of the things that we are doing currently. And there's, of course, a few things that we are planning behind the scene.
Yes.
But we are prioritizing what is important now. Yes. So I think this podcast is something really important and I'm really passionate about. I watch a lot of YouTube, hear a lot of podcasts, especially during the pandemic. And I feel that it's such a valuable platform for, people to learn, and also for us as hosts to invite, amazing guest speakers, learn from them. Yeah. And what's more amazing, you can just sit there, ask questions, and learn things at the same time.
Yes.
Right? And
I love that.
Yeah, right. You just don't get that anywhere else. It creates such a good excuse to ask questions, to get people on the show. Of course, I hope we can get someone amazing in the future. So now what's one of the things, then of course we have maybe some product development, which in development now, and hopefully in the future we can get it off the ground, but step by step, And of course, I'm doing YouTube as well. Something that I've been passionate about. YouTube is something that if I won the lottery, I don't need to work another day in my life. YouTube is something that I would actually do.
You talk about YouTube, and you were working on it.
Yeah.
What is your channel?
So
maybe you would like to share with your audience, our audience here.
Yeah. So shameless plug. Yeah. So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Jean Lu. At YouTube. So links should be in the description below. So feel free to check it out. There I talk about personal growth, self-development, a bit of finance, maybe some vlogs, entertainment stuff. Anything that we need to better ourselves. Things that I've learned, I practice, or I'm currently experiencing myself as well. So those are the stuff that I'm sharing on YouTube.
Please follow, guys. Jin Lu down below.
Check us out. Check me out.
So, Jin, my last question to you. What advice would you give to people who are just starting out their career?
That's a good question. I think there's just so many advice to actually improve yourself that I would love to say, but of course we don't have that time. But if I narrow it down, I would narrow it down to 3 important things, which I actually spoke in my videos as well in my YouTube channel. So the 3 things is consistency, progression, and patience. Right? I think these 3 things, as cliche as this sounds, everybody would have known these 3 things. But it's actually, if you combine these 3 things, it's actually become a very powerful tool. This 3 mindset, basically. So whatever we do, whatever skill we learn, I think we need to be consistent. Of course, you practice, but practice requires consistent, right? You need to keep practicing day in, day out. If you are you are doing a new routine, for example, going to the gym, you need to be consistent day in, day out, week in, week out. You can't just stop 3 months and then stop another 2 months. You can't be irregular. So once you have consistency, you establish a routine that you can follow, it's sustainable for you, then of course you need to see some progression, right? I think the progression doesn't need to be fast, but it needs to be a steady hike up. So if you are improving yourself 1% a day, in 100 days, you're already 100% better, right? Technically speaking. So I think you need to have progression, but slow is okay. Don't worry about the speed. Most importantly, you look back half a year ago, 100 days ago, and compare to yourself now, you see you're doing better, right? So always look back. And once you see progress, slow progress, then you need patience to let everything come to fruition, basically. So you need to enjoy the journey. You need to trust the process. That step by step, you're doing consistently. Eventually, you'll get there. It doesn't matter 2, 3, 4, 5 years, even 10 years. You will eventually get there. Because you have to play the long game. A lot of people will fall out because they just don't have the patience. But you can survive the game longer than your next person, then you're already winning, really. Right? So
you need your small goals and one as long-term goals.
Exactly. I think Simon Sinek said the finite games, right? So then you look back, of course, you patience, you progress, and then just keep consistent. So I think this process will keep you going and makes you enjoy the journey and trust the process. I think why I say this is a lot of young people nowadays, they just don't have the patience. Everybody wants to see result very quickly. Of course, we live in an age where everything is at our fingertips. Back then we used to have to remember phone numbers.
Yeah.
We need to look for we need to look at the maps and remember the maps, which turning, right? So yellow page, internet, you need to dial up. So it takes a lot of patience to do something. But nowadays with technology, everything's at fingertips, like press of the button. Even waiting 5 seconds, you're asking why it's so long. Right? So everybody lacks patience, and the younger generation nowadays, when they grow up with this technology, so patience become less and less significant, less and less important, really. So when you don't apply that to your own life and work, then you will give up very easily, because I've seen a lot of my juniors who came to me to resign, and when I ask them why, is they burn out after working 1 or even 2 years. And the reason why they want to quit is they want to take a break. So I'm like, wow, just 2 years into your work and you're really tired. What about the 30 years left that you need to, continue? So you need to really think about, your future.
And whether they have the kind of determination that they want to.
Exactly. And every time you quit and rest, you need to restart all over again, because when you go to a new company, you need to rebuild your reputation, rebuild the trust. So I tell them that if you want to quit and start over, quit and rest is okay, but don't do it too often. You need to think about the consequences, right? You don't want to be doing it 10 years down the road and everybody is already ahead you, and then you start to look back and, damn, what did I done for the past 10 years, right? So yeah, so I need to ask them to be patient. And if you have a goal to be a lead or a supervisor in the future, I think that's totally fine to have that. But be realistic with the timeline, right? This kind of thing takes 10 years, 15 years to reach there. Not something in 2 to 3 years you can. Of course, there are some geniuses who can, or they are the right place, right time, meeting the right people. But not everybody gets that. Most people, they have to power through, projects, encounter different situations, different projects, gather the experience, because experience comes with time, and time is patience, right? So yeah, you need to really build up your experience, build up the foundation before, reaching a goal. Yeah. And the final thing, like I said, is the young people, when you're young in the 20s, all you have is time. You don't have money, of course, unless you're a rich kid. You don't have money, you don't have experience, you don't have wisdom, but your currency is time. So you have to use time to gain valuable experience, lessons, learn new skills. Then when you're older, if you gather all of this when you're older, then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. And when time is more precious to you, then you can spend lesser time, work smarter. No need to work as hard as you are when you're 20s. Learn to delegate, use experience to build your wealth, build your reputation and stuff like that. And all this comes back to the consistency, progression, and patience.
Thank you for sharing, Jin. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure. So what's next for us?
So next, we interviewing me.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so that will be on the second episode.
Yeah. So I think that's a really fun thing for these 2 episodes. I think it's a bit more casual, you know. I think it's a good chance for us to know each other better as well.
Yes.
Other than the audience.
Of course.
Yeah. So I look forward to have that conversation with you next.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jin.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.